Hey, this is Donnie from the Toadies, and you were watching the Tippy Jo Show. Hey, this is Donnie from the Toadies, and you were watching the Midwest Mixtape Podcast.
Hello, this is Tippy with the Tippy Jo Show podcast. I'm here in the barn with Midwest Mixtapes, and we have Donnie from the Toadies that we are going to be talking to today. Very excited. Hello, Donnie. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for hanging out with us. We're super excited about this. Now, the Toadies are going to be going to Pointfest Saturday, May 17th. You guys are going to be there with 311, The Urge, Finger 11, Alien Ant Farm. And you guys also have a new album set to release soon. That's all very exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is. And we're working on finding the right label to put it out. So that has been the most interesting part, you could say.
Sure. Yeah.
Whether to do it ourselves or just to, get it out. But it's been done for a while, and we are so excited for everybody to hear it. We cannot wait.
Beautiful. Now, this new album is called The Charmer, correct?
Yep. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And with this new album, I mean, you guys worked in the studio with Steve Albini, correct?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It was a lifelong dream for all of us to work with him and just his work that he had done. And we did a few separate recording sessions with him. And he unfortunately passed away 3 weeks after our last one. We still had some stuff to do. And it was one of those, hey, we'll see you in a month. One of us I think our singer Vaden was going to go back and touch up some stuff. And, that unfortunately that didn't happen. But we made a great bond with Steve, really did. He's just a great guy.
Yeah, I hate to hear that he passed, but I love to hear that you got to spend time with him. I heard that that was on your bucket list.
Yes, all of ours. It was once we started figuring out who we wanted to do the new record with, and we had no one to ask. It was just up to us. We were paying for all of it ourselves. It was a thing of, well, let's go with Steve. Let's go up there and give this a shot. And we had met him a year previous on tour. And we just kind of went over and hung out with him for a day and just kind of discussed things while he was working, and checked out the studio. And it just ended up being kind of like the perfect fit. Steve had kind of an acerbic wit. And I don't know. I think a lot of people, he might have rubbed people the wrong way because he didn't kind of kowtow to anyone.
Yeah.
And but I guess that some people thought he was a jerk, but I guess he was just our kind of jerk.
One of those people you got to get to know him to love him, right?
You really do. And
Those are the best kind of people, by the way.
they really were. I think Steve really did have a big heart. He really did. He could not have been kinder to us. And just, I think we just melded well, all five of us with him. So it was just, we were planning on going back, and it was just so many great memories that we had. And especially just once people hear the album, they'll know kind of like you can hear the fun we had and hear everything we put into it.
Beautiful. Now, you guys decided to record this album live.
Yes and no. Steve, earlier in his career, wanted everything done live. And we don't necessarily like to do that way. Like our guitars, like Vaden and Clark, they like to go in there and have their guitar parts and mess with them, because what they might come up with right off the bat may or may not work. And they don't want to be married to it. And, we had that talk with Steve, and he was so accommodating. He was like, hey, that's how I would normally do things, but this is your session. You do them exactly how you want to. So the bass and drums were done pretty much live. I can only think of maybe two parts where they weren't. But that's kind of how Rez, our drummer, and I operate anyway, since I got in the band. We go in, we kind of nail it between the two of us, and then we just sit back and watch them sweat for about weeks and weeks and weeks.
So like a little bit of a hybrid on that album then.
Pretty much. Yeah. And we would all go in and play everything live. But if we would mainly just listen to drums and then bass. And if that was good, Steve wanted to to keep going. He loved energy. He didn't want to do 10 takes,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we did more than probably 2 or 3 takes to keep that energy going. Same with guitars. It would be, he would argue like, okay, we have it. It sounds great. And then we would have to listen like, yeah, he's right. We do have it. So it was just, we took our time. We wanted to make sure it was right,
Now, with this new album, what can the fans expect from it? Are we going to hear like a new sound, a new vibe?
It's dark.
It's dark.
I think our last couple of records, we had some really nice, some more uplifting songs. Our singer Vaden had entered a new relationship with a lady who's now his lovely wife, Rachel. And some of those songs are about that. And this record was written during the pandemic and during isolation. And there is none of that on it, and it is amazing. It's we hadn't heard any new songs in a few years, and all of a sudden, Vaden sent us probably 3 hours of just music and riffs.
Wow.
Yeah, and Clark, our guitar player, had probably 2 or 3 songs, so he's got 2 or 3 songs on the record. Vaden just kind of just killed it. It was a great process writing it, during that and just listening to his demos and just hearing everything. So it's very much a record written in that time, but it's still very, it's a record of the times today too, not necessarily happy with everything. There's not a lot of good time, fun songs,
Yeah.
But it sounds like the Toadies.
A little bit darker,
It's pretty deep. It's deep, and I love the lyrics. It sounds like the Toadies went and made a record with Steve Albini. That's the best way I can put it.
I love it. Can't wait to hear it. That is so exciting. Is there a release date on this yet?
Not yet. We're still trying to figure that out. We would love to get it out by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. If that doesn't happen, we're going to have to shoot for early next year. That's what we're trying to work on right now. And it's been a thorn in our side that we haven't been able to find the right situation yet, but it's more of, we could have rushed it out earlier with a crappy situation, but it's kind of better to wait,
Yeah, time. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what we're dealing with right now, is finding the right partners, the right situation. And then after it's out, then people get tired of us, because we'll always be on the road after that,
I don't think anybody will get tired of the Toadies. Come on now.
I hope not.
Now, you joined Toadies in 2008 as the bassist.
Yes, I sure did.
Now, tell me a little bit, how has joining them, did that kind of change the way that you play bass? Did it evolve your craft?
Oh, God, yeah. I was a finger player in all of my other bands, and I never played with a pick. Mm-hmm. So when I started talking about, I met up with our manager, and they sent me the email like, hey, we're going to get you an audition. Just so you know, it's a pick gig, all downstrokes. So I was like, they're like, is that a problem? I'm like, no, it's not a problem at all. And it was totally a problem, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I called my brother, Zach. He's the guitar player in Rise Against. And he was making a record. I think they were Appeal to Reason record. So I called him and said, hey, I got an audition. He goes, oh, dude, that is great. I think you're going to nail it. I went, it's a pick gig, all downstrokes. And Zach was like, ooh, yikes. Well, you better get to work. So, but once I got in just playing with the band, the way that those guys play, I wasn't used to so many more dynamics, just mainly straight punk rock bands. And playing with Mark Resnicek alone has made me 10 times better. The same with playing with Clark and Vaden, and hearing Clark nail all of our songs and all the lead lines perfectly every night made my musicianship go through the roof. Like, crap, if he's doing this, I have to. And then I've got Vaden's voice in my ears, and no one has a right hand like that guy. His right hand on guitar is just amazing. Don't tell him I said any of this. It's in live, right?
Part out, right?
All right, edit that part. I don't want them to know that.
Take it out.
But they really are. I mean, like, I think I've become far better bass player, musician, just by playing with them, and learning so many different things that I never would have learned if I hadn't been in the band and joined them.
That's so beautiful. I love when people can be inspired by somebody's greatness, because there are two ways to go about it. You could have went into that band and been jealous. You could have went in and been, why are they so good? But instead you went in and you were like, you know what? I need to be better.
Oh yeah. I was a fan. I mean, God, my brother and I had a band called Hagfish that used to play with the Toadies all the time. And usually the audience was, if we opened up for them, it would be the Toadies watching us. And then when they went on, we would watch the Toadies. And so that was it. That was the audience, as each other's bands, No one came to see it, either of us. So I've always loved them and just loved what they do and how they do it. And I always loved Vaden's voice. And so just from the audition, I was happy just to do the audition. Past that, I got to play with them, and then I got the gig, and it's just been, it's never been one of those things that I've been bummed about, or, I've always been so happy to just play those songs, hear what else that Vaden is going to come up with, and just be part of the process and be part of the writing process. We're all open with ideas. It's an open door policy, but he writes the best stuff. So we go with we go with the quality. I'm not if I have some crappy riff, guarantee you he's going to have a far better riff. So it's like, let's go with that.
You guys all work well together. I love to hear that.
We try. We really do try. We have fun.
That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. When you joined the Toadies, what was it like stepping into that band? They had such a legacy already and such a dedicated cult following. Was that strange to now be part of a cult leadership?
Yeah, I think our first tour took people a little bit. I think they wanted to see Lisa up there, and I don't blame them. She had her own thing, but that stopped, that ended. And so it was like, hey, let's, so I think here and there I would get some grief from some fans, but that was maybe 2% right when I joined. And after that, it stopped. And it's just been, I've just been trying to do it justice pretty much, and just to do the songs justice, play them live, how they are on the record. I hate it when you go see a band and they get another player in that wants to interpret it their way. That's not what you're supposed to do. We don't do things that way. People pay hard-earned money to come see us. So if we decide to do some funk jam in the middle of Possum Kingdom, they're going to throw stuff at us, Yeah. Now we do funk jams in Possum Kingdom, but that's just for us to hear. Yes. We do that to mess around, but, we don't really go out and just try to be wildly interpretive. We want to stick as close to the song, and that people are used to. Yeah. That's what they're paying for. They want to hear it done that way.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's, my God, I love the songs so much. If we did do them differently, I would be a little agitated. Like, no. They don't need to be messed with.
Yeah. I think your whole crowd would be like, no.
Oh God, no. Because if I'm a fan, and we are all fans of the band. Even Vaden and Rez, they're fans of the band, as what it is. So they don't want to hear it differently, and none of our favorite bands do that. They stick to how it needs to be done live. And there are bands who pull that off fantastic. 311, who we're going to play with, they're fantastic at that. They can go and interpret their songs however they want to, and no one will mind because you expect that. But we're just not that band. We love AC/DC way too much. And that is never anything they would do,
Right. I get you.
Ever.
Hey, so some exciting news that the people out there may not know, but Fort Worth actually has an official Toadies Day now. Yes. That is incredible. How does it feel to have the city celebrate the band like that?
It is awesome. And we usually play Billy Bob's on that day. We didn't this year because it made more sense to play on a Saturday, which I think was like probably the 27th. Mm-hmm. But it's December 30th is Toadies Day. So we'll be playing Billy Bob's December 30th this year on Toadies Day. And it's just kind of a nice thing that they recognize the band like that. You know, they did not have to. And the fact that they did and saw what the band, you know, means to Fort Worth, I think it makes all of us very happy. You know, it's really something that Rez and Vaden are really happy about. Clark and I were from Dallas, so there's that whole thing. You're not going to understand it, but trust me, the DFW people will understand it. You know, but it's just such a nice thing that they recognize the band in such a way, and even playing Billy Bob's is just such a classic place. I think we played there like 6 or 7 times now. Yeah. And it never gets old. We love doing it. The crowds are always amazing, you know, and there's just...
When you get your own day, do they give you a big key?
No, you would think they did. Some days we're trying to go into the hotel that's right next to the venue and like, yeah, could I get an early check-in? No, like it's like, Toadies Day. Like, I don't care.
We are. Yeah, Toadies Day. We are. Toadies, come on.
You know, it's our day. Still not? Like, no. Like, great. Okay.
That's hilarious.
All right.
Love that. That's funny. They got to keep you humble a little. It's okay.
Oh, it's Texas. We keep each other pretty damn humble. That's how the state runs.
Is there a particular Toady song that you personally connect with more than others?
Oh God, that's a really good question. Gosh, I can't give you a good answer because I love so many of them. I mean, that's a really good question. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I get it. I have a hard time picking favorites too. I'm like, I like so much. I can't.
Well, and I really can't because especially from there's so many from the new record that are just kind of mind-boggling. I think that I just whenever I heard the demos for them blew my mind, you know, or versus Pressed Against the Sky or Sweetness or you know, got Quitter. Ruth, going back even to the earlier days, there's so many great songs that are just in our catalog that I think if we were to do all the ones that I loved, it would probably be like a 2.5 hour set and then they would kill me. So
that's a lot of songs to love though. That's a pretty good amount.
I don't think a lot of bands have that. I think a lot of bands, like maybe half their set that they do. And I think all of us love every single song we do. There's not a single song that we do that we're not all 100% behind or we wouldn't do it. You know?
Well, that passion shows through.
Even the Kelly Clarkson cover. We love that too, you know?
Yes. And Kelly Clarkson has talked a lot about you guys, actually. She was quoted saying, "The Toadies, my favorite band of all time. Anything about rock swagger, I learned from them." That's incredible.
I have not heard. I knew she was a fan, but I never heard that quote. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. And I think when we were talking about doing the songs, I wanted to do a Big Boy song. And for the heck of it, from, you know, they're a band from Austin. And our drummer, Mark, pitched doing Kelly Clarkson. He was like, how about that? I've always loved that song. And he and Vaden kind of around the same time, right after each other in a text, we're like, let's do Since You've Been Gone. Like, wait, what? No. And so Vaden, being Vaden, was like, give me a sec. I got an arrangement. And within probably 2 hours, had the arrangement. So we were like, all right, crap, this will be great. Let's do it, you know? And it kind of, he belted it out. Whenever I heard the playback of him singing it, I was pretty blown away. Like, good God, man, that's a cannon of a throat that kid has.
That is not easy. So that is impressive.
It really is. I was super impressed with that. Yeah. Very much so.
Now, Ryan Bingham did a version of Possum Kingdom.
Yeah.
Texas Wild. And he flipped the script. How'd you feel about that one?
I thought it was fantastic. We all did, but the funny part, the cool part was we were actually doing Kelly's song when we heard that.
Oh,
So our manager Tammy brought it in. She was like, "Do you guys want to hear Ryan's cover of it?" And listened to it. And the thing that I liked was watching Rez and Vaden's their reactions. And we've heard a lot of people have tried Possum Kingdom, and some people have done a nice version of it, but Ryan's was kind of the coolest one that we've heard. Quite honestly, we've liked that one the most out of any cover we've ever heard, and especially Vaden and Rez. That's their favorite version of it, So he just kind of went off the rails and did his own thing. He didn't try to really stick to it. He just made it really cool, especially with his voice and the arrangement of it. And it was neat to see them so impressed and just loving it, And Clark and I loved it too. I was really impressed with that one as well. And I've heard he's a really nice guy, and it was cool that he picked that song.
ooh, that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, he did a cool version of it. I mean, his band it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I figured I had it nailed just from what his previous work would be, and could not have been more wrong.
A nice surprise, though. That's a lovely surprise when you think
Yeah, yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, well, and the cajones on that guy. He was like, "I'm going to do this version of this song that everyone knows, and I'm going to make it awesome." And he did. He
did. Yep.
he took a shot and he nailed it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, outside of music, you are a published author and a
Yes,
jujitsu practitioner. Look at you go.
I am, and I actually have a couple of really good friends in St. Louis. One named Kyle Watson at Watson Martial Arts, and then Josh McKinney. He runs the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu podcast and runs Head Nod Jiu-Jitsu. And just doing it has given me a really cool, great way to get my butt kicked every day. But it's fantastic. And I've met so many amazing people. I've made so many great friends across the country. Because when we go tour, if we have time, I'll try and go to a class and just meet great people. And
That is jujitsu, such a community.
it really is. And it's because everyone, it doesn't matter if you're white or a purple belt or a black belt, or if you're a stranger, chances are we've all broken bones. We've all bled. We've all, sweated on someone. We've had somebody spit in on us by accident. We've had blood in our faces. We've all pretty much sweated and bled the exact same amount of time. So you understand it. You understand, the grief that goes along with that, and the anxiety and the picking apart, and just the elation of rolling and meeting other people. I've just always loved martial arts. It was just something I liked to do as a kid, and stopped it to play music. And when the Toadies took a break a while back, I decided to go back and try to get my black belt in Taekwondo. And my brother Zach and I had started in Taekwondo. We were really good kickers. Zach was an amazing kicker. And if anyone's seen Rise Against live, you'll know, you can tell, oh, he got that from Taekwondo. Just a little secret. But I got it, and then I eventually started writing my book, Even If It Kills Me, about that, and got a really great publisher to put it out, and it's had a really good response, and I've been really, really, really happy with the response. And I'm going to write another one now about jiu-jitsu. So I'm working on that right now, though. I got to make it good.
How do you balance all that, man? That's a lot to do, being a published author, writing a book, doing jujitsu, going on touring, and you got a family. What? Come on.
Well, I drink a lot of coffee,
Me too.
I drink So my wife and we get up in the mornings and we drink coffee so we can go get coffee. That's how we.
That makes sense. Yes.
That's kind of how we do things.
We're just going to read Burke Sublime. And instead of I smoke 2 joints before I smoke 2 joints, now it's I drink 2 coffees before I drink 2 coffees.
I'm a straight edge guy. My God, I can't imagine me on drugs. No one wants to see that. I'm bad enough on coffee. But it's just, being older and, we've worked really hard to have the life that we all have. So it's just kind of having other things to do in between times when the band's on the road. When the band's on the road and busy, that's the focus. But in between that, I've got ADD. I've got to keep myself busy with other things or I go nuts,
I feel you on that one.
Yeah. So getting choked out by my best friends and stuff, that's one of my pastimes.
I love it. It helps to really reset you, huh?
It'll keep you humble. They don't care, like, oh my God, you're in the Toadies. That's great. Well, I'm going to break your arm right now, right? Like, yep, I know. They don't care.
Now, in your books, you've written a bit about your experiences with the Toadies, yes?
Yes.
So in this upcoming book, are we going to see a bit of a deeper dive on your experiences?
Not so much, not with the Toadies. I think it will be about Jujitsu as well. But it's mainly going to be that and kind of going back and forth in between my brother and I getting out of Sherman and using music and trying to find out that thing inside that makes you want to persevere. At least me, like, why do I want to do these things? I have zero clue why a sane person, would, get up out of bed every morning from their warm life at, 5:30 in the morning and go get strangled by other people at 6 in the morning, so it's like, why? Yeah. So I'm going into that. There's something inside there to just keep progressing. And it was kind of from whenever my brother and I were younger, we just had to get out of our small town in Texas and just do things. It wasn't even about being in bigger bands, it was just about getting out, getting better, and kind of always progressing. We're both the same. If we're doing one thing, we want to get as great as we can at it. Not the best, not an ego thing where I'm better than these people. No, I just see where I need to be and where I'm not. And so that's the goal. And until I can get to that point, I won't be happy. And it's the same with bass playing. I practice every day. I make sure I have our songs down perfect. I try to do other things that I can just be great at that people won't hear, So that's kind of what the book will be about, pretty much that, and just the correlation between that and